permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa. Right? Like this is the real life, right? Where like your existence is not permeated and devitalized, by all of like the stuff that drags us down in the world. But their whole existence, their body, their consciousness is permeated and vitalized. In other words, it's like spiritual vitamins. It's like it's alive and nourished with these thoughts and feelings about Krishna, right? George Harrison was saying, we're all looking for Krishna, though we don't necessarily know it. We're all looking to feel alive and feel love and feel bliss and understand everything with a clear head and be free.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom the Sage. It's a daily spiritual podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha. It is Tuesday, June 17th, and this is episode 1627. Welcome to the show. It's a show for you this morning, this Tuesday, and me and Mare we're in pure devotional service.
Hold it, Raghunath.
I'm just
I'm
here
like
to say
that.
it's pure devotional service. We don't like to admit these things, but it might not be pure devotion, but it's tons of service. We've just had so many devotees staying with us for literally for weeks. Mara's not had a moment off. Even on her day, she didn't go to Rath Yatra. There was no moment. She was back doing background work.
My family came up and visited.
And your family came up. But it's been nonstop. And in reflection, I was thinking, and then I'm going through some personal family stuff that was sort of like a very, very agitating.
Really? I didn't know that.
Well, I don't tell you everything.
Speak to me, Raghunath.
I'm not gonna, because if I speak to you, I'll speak privately. I don't have to reveal my whole life to 10,000 people. But whatever it was,
I'm not on the podcast. But
okay, all right, I will. But it was anyway. My point is when things get painful in your heart, it's really easy to, at the very best, watch a movie. At the very least, you can go to very dark places.
Very worst.
And what words, at the very worst, go to dark places. People do that all the time with drugs or alcohol or sex or shopping.
I didn't know things are getting so dark, Raghunath. What is this?
Hey, Prabhu, I'm just telling you, it's not getting so dark. I just went through some very hard time.
I didn't know it was that hard. Okay.
Well, yeah, you can call me.
When did this happen?
When you took the day off, that's when it happened.
You see how dependent you are on me?
Anyway, my point was that everything. So we have so many people at the house, literally for this last month. Devotees have been coming. Swamis have been coming. Okay. Programs, kirtans. We got a big retreat this week, and Raghunath Swami comes next week. And it's one of those things where it keeps you actively engaged, and you think, this is exhausting, but it's such a blessing because we're always engaged. We have no time to think of anything else. But then in the distress, I was thinking, oh, wow, I'm so much more dependent on Krishna now. Like I'm really prayerfully. And let's face it, the Bhagavatam is about personalities going through it, going through hard times and showing that, look what they're doing in these hard times. Look what Gajendra's doing. Look what, Draupadi is doing. Look what Ambarish is doing. They're all reaching their hands up and surrendering to Krishna. It's meant to bring you closer to our dependence on Krishna. And where the material world is, how can I enjoy the material world and forget about Krishna? How can I enjoy all of Krishna's opulences and not invite Krishna to the party? And so this is it's actually very beautiful, good and bad, and exhausting and wonderful and sweet. Now, like Henry was just saying, it's really sweet right now. Like no one's really here except us. And last night we had a really sweet kirtan with the boys, and it was just very sweet, So
the Alachua boys?
No, the Alachua boys are gone. Only a couple of the Alachua boys remain, but we have My son is here. Rocco, my little boy, Tarun is here. And the two Rico brothers, who are the cousins of Kishore and Bali from the Mayapuris.
Amazing. That
Yeah,
Rico
so
dynasty is
the
huge.
Rico dynasty is
They're
big.
powerful, that
And they're
dynasty.
well, they're
Powerful
pi-
dynasty. Very
they're
influential.
pious. They're like the Pandavas. Yeah. So anyway, it's going good.
All right.
All right. So we got a.
What about
Any
my day?
announcements?
See, I wasn't even here. You don't even ask. How was your day?
What did you do on your day off? What do you do? Just
I
walk
had
around
full
the
day
park,
meetings
pick
at the Bhakti.
flowers?
Oh,
I'm just joking. I know you do work. What do you do? What do you full
it
day
was a
of
full day.
meetings?
You know, we have Bhakti Center Board of Directors has about maybe about 6 meetings a year, but New York Ratha Yatra, after New York Ratha Yatra, we generally have like either like a full day or sometimes 2 full days of meetings.
Did
Like I
you
said,
like elbow your way into that meeting going, okay, listen here, I'm senior director here. Let me
I'm a
tell you
member of
what's
the
gonna
board of directors,
let's a
Bubba.
what I know, I know, I know,
So
I know.
what elbowing needs to be done? What are you talking
No,
about?
well, you senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York. You just have to say, listen up here. Here's how it's gonna be.
Actually, I'm not really. We say that every day, but I haven't really functioned that way in a long time. But
What?
I'll tell you, like board meetings aren't something I try to elbow my way into. They're generally, you know.
Believe
But
me, I
but but
can't
the
sit
fact
through
is, with the
a
Bhakti
meeting.
Center, it's a board of really wonderful people, and this was really great because Radhanath Swami was there for much of the meeting too.
Hmm.
So it was, you know, every now and then an organization has to, or a person for that matter, you know, you got to come
Yeah.
back to your principles. You got to remind yourself of the basic stuff, you know. And that happened yesterday where we're just like, you know what, we really got to connect with each other. You know, people tend in organizations, they tend to go into their separate silos. And it's not that it's an organization that's where there's fighting or anything like that, but at the same time, there wasn't a, you know, we all looked at it and said, we got to get back together with real sense of unity. We got to spend more time
Nice.
together, you know,
Nice.
outside of the typical stuff that you have to do. You know, we got to get together outside and spend more time together and
And just
read
become
together.
buddies. Just become buddies. And that makes you want to work together.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
start to appreciate each other.
and Maharaj gave this, he just went into this example of like, he said, you know, the root of the tree of our Bhakti Center, you know, the root of it is Krishna. You know, hearing about Krishna, talking about Krishna, singing about Krishna, serving Krishna, you know, but especially that hearing about Krishna, you know,
Mm.
and and through that, you know, every leaf on the tree gets nourished, you know, and feels a sense of unity, feels we're all connected to that one root. That's what unites us all, you know.
Mm.
So, you know, we made a commitment. We're going to get together regularly. We're going to hear and chant together. We're going to enliven one another, you know. That's what Krishna's devotees do, right? Machita makata prana, bodhyanta parasparam, you know.
I'm gonna talk to Maharaj and have him invite the Bhakti Center up here for a weekend retreat.
All right.
Yeah, it'd be great. Okay, any announcements, Miss Mara?
No announcements today.
No announcements
Nothing.
today.
That's Mara's like that
Nothing.
now. Like she's like,
No,
no,
no, I'm not gonna announce anything.
I do the nugget now.
I'm the Nugget Girl.
Oh, well,
Hey,
it's a
Nugget
big
Girl, what
nugget.
you got for us today, Nugget Girl?
It's a big nugget today. Big,
It's a
long
big
nugget.
nugget. It's not even a nugget. It's like
It's a mountain.
No?
it's an intro.
Yeah.
This
And it's
is, you
from
know, yeah,
my
go ahead,
friend and your friend.
George Harrison.
George Harrison. This
Henry,
is
did you ever meet George Harrison? No. Okay, Henry says no. You ever meet the guy from Led Zeppelin?
there's four
Okay.
guys in Led Zeppelin.
I know, but the main guy. He met the main guy from Led Zeppelin.
Hard to say
Jimmy.
who's the main guy.
Who'd you meet,
Page?
Henry? Henry met Jimmy Page.
Really? Okay,
He met
bring
the
him
whole
on. Let's hear
band.
about that.
Okay, we should have talked about that on the show yesterday.
But today, if we get moving here, we're going to actually read about the birth of Krishna, like the actual appearance of Krishna.
Ooh.
Hmm.
And I thought it might be a nice time to hear a little bit. You know, the nugget we generally hear from some more, not necessarily Western, but some, not like, we don't go to like the Vedic sources so much. George Harrison's kind of both, right?
Yeah,
He's a Western
he's
musician,
the most
celebrity.
beautiful form of East meets West.
In a beautiful form of East meets West. So he helped finance the printing of the Krishna Book.
Which is amazing, huh?
Yeah, there's a whole story about that, but maybe we don't get into that now. I don't know. Maybe
It's
we do
like-
get into it.
Well, Shamasundar asked him to. Shamasundar was like, Prabhupada said, ask George if he'll pay for it.
The thing was, Shyam Sundar had a relationship with George Harrison, beautiful friendship, and he never asked him for anything.
Yeah, you don't want to ask your friend
Yeah.
for money. It just sort of ruins the relationship. And George already probably had millions of people bothering him, and so Shamsundar kept everything cool. Then Prabhupada said, "Well, we need some money to print this book." I think it was
His
like
book out.
how much, $10,000 or something at the time.
I think
can't
that's what it
remember.
was. It was more money then, of course, but
Yeah, and when he asked him to do it, George was like, I don't ask him for things, but he felt
Shyam
like,
Sundar was like that.
yeah, Shamasundar was like, so then he asked him.
He
Yeah.
was struggling internally, right? Just like, oh, gotta do this. Oh, I don't
And
want to do this.
and he asked him, and there was a pause, and like a thunderbolt hit. It was like a crack, and then George
Literally.
goes, I guess I will. I
And
guess
no,
that's
not
the
only
time."
that, the thunderbolt hit and the
Power
lights
went
went out.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And they were sitting there in the silence, and then the lights came back on, and George Harrison just had this huge smile on his face. He's like, okay. Because when he asked, he could see in George's face he was a little disappointed. right,
Yeah,
that he
you
was
know,
asked that.
it's interesting.
And then that thunderbolt went off, and the lights went out, and then the lights came back on. He just had that they both just had huge smiles on their face and started laughing, and they're like, no problem, I'll cover it. So, but George
That's a
not
Krishna
only
miracle. I'm going to call that a Krishna miracle.
oh, that's definitely a Krishna miracle right there. And so he not only financed the book, but he wrote the introduction, which is what we're hearing now. But it's about him talking about how we're all looking for Krishna. Who is Krishna, right? Who is that Krishna?
Mira?
Everybody is looking for Krishna. Some don't realize that they are, but they are.
Hmm.
Krishna is God, the source of all that exists, the cause of all that is, was, or ever will be. As God is unlimited, he has many names: Allah, Buddha, Jehovah, Ram. All are Krishna, all are one. God is not abstract. He has both the impersonal and the personal aspects to his personality, which is supreme, eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. As a single drop of water has the same qualities as an ocean of water, so has our consciousness the qualities of God's consciousness. But through our identification and attachment with material energy, like the physical body, sense pleasures, material possessions, ego, etc., our true transcendental consciousness has been polluted, and like a dirty mirror is unable to reflect a pure image.
Okay, why don't we
Beautifully
pause?
spoken. Beautifully
Yeah.
spoken. That is the "you are here."
Mm.
This is
Beautifully
explaining,
written, yeah.
what
Yeah,
we are. Yeah.
He opens up by saying that we're all looking for the same thing. We may not realize it, but we're all looking for the same thing. You can say we're all looking for happiness. We're all looking for love.
We're all looking for peace. We're all looking for,
Yeah.
I mean, even the anarchist and like the conservative, they
They're looking
actually
for it.
want the same thing,
Mhm.
but they just don't understand, and they have different ways of going about it.
Yeah.
It's actually a very powerful first few lines. We are all looking for
Mhm.
Krishna.
Yeah.
Some don't even know it.
Right.
It's the God-shaped hole, Bubba.
There you go. And then he's going on to explain that God is unlimited. He's supreme, eternal, blissful, full of knowledge, and we're made out of that same energy. We're meant to be feeling that all the time, but we're out of touch with it. And so everybody's looking for the same thing. Everybody's trying to feel their own nature again, but they're looking for it in different ways in different places. They don't quite get it.
With many lives, our association with the temporary has grown. This impermanent body, a bag of bones and flesh, is mistaken for our true self, and we have accepted this temporary condition to be final.
We could just pass this flyer out. This would be a good thing to distribute to
Good
people.
one.
This is very good. It's our whole
You
philosophy.
gonna go out
wrapped
on the
up in
street
it.
and pass it out, Raghu?
I will do that. I will do that. I will do that.
I'm gonna
And I
print
want-
him.
And I want credit for it. I want to hear it announced at the morning program. Raghunath, 5,000 flyers.
George
today.
Harrison flyers.
And everyone would go, Haribol. How many Lakshmi points? Nothing.
Did you actually give them to 5,000 people, or did you give them to 3 people and then just drop
Three
the
people and
others
told.
off?
Well, I managed, so I had
In a phone
them
booth.
distribute them.
Through all ages, great saints have remained as living proof that this non-temporary, permanent state of God consciousness can be revived in all living souls.
That's a great line in itself too.
Yeah.
You want proof of it? Look how these people live. They become great saints, and they're blissful and high on life,
Living proof.
and they have nothing to show for it except their life experience.
Mm-hmm.
Each soul is potentially divine.
They are divine. It's just we have the potential for it to arise again in us fully.
Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, steady in the self, being freed from all material contamination, the yogi achieves the highest perfectional stage of happiness, in touch with the supreme consciousness.
Somehow modern yoga missed out on the Bhagavad Gita. They're like, let's just work out. You know what I mean? This is like in the 60s and 70s and even 80s. This was why people got into yoga, like for these higher reasons.
Yoga, a scientific method for God's self-realization, is a process by which we purify our consciousness, stop further pollution, and arrive at the state of perfection, full knowledge, full bliss.
Okay.
If there's a God, I want to see him. It's pointless to believe in something without proof. And Krishna consciousness and meditation are methods where you can actually obtain God perception. You can actually see God and hear him, play with him. It might sound crazy, but he is actually there, actually with you. There are many yogic paths, Raj, Gyan, Hatha, Kriya, Karma, Bhakti, which are all acclaimed by the masters of each method. Swami Bhaktivedanta is, as his title says, a bhakti yogi following the path of devotion. By serving God through each thought, word, and deed, and by chanting his holy names, the devotee quickly develops God consciousness. By chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, one inevitably arrives at Krishna consciousness. The proof of the pudding is in the eating.
Which I've never heard that phrase until the Krishna Book and in this introduction to Krishna Book, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Have you heard that before? Maybe it's a
I
British
think
thing.
proof of the pudding is a common thing, isn't it?
The proof is in the pudding.
The proof is in the pudding.
I think that's
You've heard that?
I've heard that.
Okay.
I request that you take advantage of this book, Krishna, and enter into its understanding. I also request that you make an appointment to meet your God now.
I like that.
Make
Make
an
an appointment. That's what Japa was this morning. I made an appointment. God showed up. God was there on time. I was a little late. I was a little late. I was a little inattentive. I was like, I went into God's office and I was looking the other way. Wouldn't look him in the eye.
I request you make an appointment to meet your God now through the self-liberating process of yoga, union, and give peace a chance.
Like how he threw that in there.
Yeah,
Oh, wow. Okay. I want to do peace. That's a popular song.
Can't get anything past you, Raghu. Who sang that song, Raghunath?
Wasn't it the Beatles?
Okay, there you go.
Oh, right.
For his friend John.
John Lennon.
Okay, that's it. Are you going to read the very end there? Yeah.
Is there more?
Well, George Harrison.
George Harrison.
Apple Corps Limited. What is this corporation?
Yeah,
3
Apple
Sayville
Records.
Row, London,
Seville.
W1. Anyway,
Gerard Telex or
Telex.
London.
his
277.
telex, in case you want to reach out to him, his telex number is AppCore London. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. So he shared that we have this, we're looking for Krishna because we're of the nature of Krishna, but we're not feeling the nature of Krishna in us, that spiritual nature, but it can be revived. And it can be done as simply just through chanting these names if we bring our attention to it, if we bring our, he said, every word, what did he say? Every word, thought, and action. Something like that.
Indeed. Yeah.
And so, yeah, take your actions, take your thoughts, take your words, dedicate them all, bring them all back to that original source, and you can feel yourself revived. You can feel this energy revived in you. You can come alive again. And we're going to hear a little bit about that today if we move quickly enough. Let's read the last few verses of the second chapter and get into the third, where Krishna appears.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirya before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest. One should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki, by regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees. All that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmadatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 2, Text 40. Only 3 more verses left in this second.
You ready? Did you freeze up? No, Raghunath froze up. Mara froze up. Okay, let me pull this up here. We're in Canto 10, Chapter 2, Prayers of the Demigods, by the Demigods for Lord Krishna in the Womb. You back, Raghu? No? And I think we're on text 37, if I'm not mistaken. I wasn't here yesterday. But I'll begin reading. Even while engaged in this is the oh, you're back, Raghu. I see you looking around. You're moving.
Yeah. I thought you were listening patiently. You weren't. You were frozen.
No, you were frozen, Baba.
Well, on my screen, you were.
Okay.
On my screen, it was your fault.
Okay. My screen, it was your fault. Is it text 37?
No, it's text 40.
Text 40, okay.
O Supreme Controller, your lordship previously accepted incarnations as a fish, a horse, a tortoise, Narasimhadev, a boar, a swan, Lord Ramachandra, Parshuram, and, among the demigods, Vamanadev, to protect the entire world by your mercy.
So they're saying one time you became one of us, right? You were born of a DT. That was Vamanadev, yeah.
Now please protect us again by your mercy by diminishing the disturbances in this world, O Krishna, O best of the Yadus, we respectfully offer our obeisances to you. Demigods are so excited. Like, who's God going to come as now? It's like Christmas time, opening a package. Ah, adorable little baby. I thought it was going to be a little horse.
It's
I thought it was going to be a boar, a little baby boar.
A little blue boy.
A little swan, right? I thought it was going to be a little Ram, a little Ram Lal. No, okay. O Mother Devaki, by your good fortune and ours, the Supreme Personality of God in himself, with all his plenary portions, such as Baladev, is now within your womb. Therefore, you need not fear Kamsa, who has decided to be killed by the Lord himself. Your eternal son, Krishna, will be the protector of the entire Yadu dynasty. After thus offering prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, the transcendence, all the demigods, with Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva before them, returned to their homes in the heavenly planets.
Okay. They came, they offered prayers, they went home.
And we're diving right.
They should have stuck around because it's going to get real exciting.
Like, we're going to be here hiding out. We're going to be disguised. I would have disguised myself as a tree, anything. Squirrel. It's going to get interesting.
All right. Chapter 3, the birth of Lord Krishna.
So this is it. Text 1 through 5. Thereafter, at the auspicious time for the appearance of the Lord, by the way, everything is like, time is like, there's auspicious times and inauspicious times.
Yeah.
Right down to conception. There's like when people want to conceive a child, there's auspicious times to conceive the child and inauspicious. It's sort of like when you want to set sail, you got to figure out, well, when is the breeze going to be a good time? What's the weather going to be like? In Vedic calculations, everything is auspicious and inauspicious times. That's why they always consult with astrologers for things, for everything. We want to have an initiation ceremony. We want to have what do they call when they lay a first stone down, a building, groundbreaking ceremony. When we want to have a graduation or something like that, it's all done through celestial bodies and analyzing what's a good time to do this, what's an inauspicious time to do this. So at the auspicious time for the appearance of the Lord, the entire...
I was going to say, yeah, since you brought all that up, yeah, this verse, it talks a lot about the astrological situation and the auspiciousness that was, um, in alignment with that. But, and this is something that we see a lot in Bhagavatam, where it starts to kind of glorify the beauty of nature. And this is obviously like a really special chapter because Krishna is about to appear. And the chapter opens up with beautiful poetry. This is like if we could read this in Sanskrit and really understand the Sanskrit, we'd be sent. It's just like if this was like a movie, it would be just opening up with this beautiful music, and it would be scanning all like this natural beauty. That's how we're opening up the chapter where we hear about Krishna's appearance.
Yeah. And we're about to go into it right now. And here's what it was. The constellation Rohini appeared as
Why don't you read the first sentence? Because I don't know if you.
Thereafter, at the auspicious time for the appearance of the Lord, the entire universe was surcharged with all the qualities of goodness, beauty, and peace. The constellation Rohini appeared, as did the stars like Ashvini. The sun, the moon, and other stars and planets were very peaceful. All directions appeared extremely pleasing, and the beautiful stars twinkled in the cloudless sky. Decorated with towns, villages, mines, they were mining back then, and pasturing grounds. The earth seemed all auspicious. The rivers flowed with clear water, and the lakes and vast reservoirs full of lilies and lotuses were extraordinarily beautiful. In the trees and green plants, full of flowers and leaves, pleasing to the eyes, birds like cuckoos and swarms of bees began chanting with sweet voices for the sake of the demigods. A pure breeze began to blow, pleasing the sense of touch and bearing the aroma of flowers. And when the brahmanas, engaging in ritualistic ceremonies, ignited their fires according to Vedic principles, the fires burned steadily. Engaging in ritualistic ceremony, undisturbed by the breeze. Thus, when the birthless Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was about to appear, the saints and the Brahmins, who had always been disturbed by demons like Kamsa and his men, felt peace within the core of their hearts, and kettle drums simultaneously vibrated with the upper planetary systems, from the upper planetary systems.
Yeah. So this is like a time actually of political oppression, right? The Brahmanas, they were forbidden to do their daily rituals, right? Perform their fire, their homas, these daily ceremonies where they're offering ghee into the fire and chanting their mantras. The Asuras had taken birth in the families of the royal dynasties or the rulers, and they had shut that down. That was part of their strategy from the beginning, right? Shut it all down. But somehow everyone was feeling very light and free. And
can I get some water and some apple cider vinegar? Thank you.
Raghunath, you're muted. Haribo? Yeah.
I'm reading the whole time muted.
I know. I got muted too. So I was telling you you're muted, but I was muted at the same time. I don't know how that happened.
In the future, we're going to laugh about this. Remember on Zoom, and you can mute and turn off your mics. Okay. The Kinnaras, the Gandharvas, began to sing auspicious songs. The Siddhas and the Charanas offered auspicious prayers, and the Vidyadharis, along with the Apsaras, began to dance in jubilation. So that's like the Vedic equivalent to the generic term
good
angels.
Times?
Angels singing celebrate good times. Come on.
There's a party going.
It reminds me of a Chips episode.
Okay.
There. The demigods and great saintly persons showered flowers in a joyous mood, and clouds gathered in the sky and very mildly thundered, making sounds like those of the ocean's waves. Then the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu,
This is
Huh?
This is it.
Here it is. Ready? kettle drum roll. Then the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, who is situated in the core of everyone's heart, appeared from the heart of Devaki in the dense of darkness of night, like the full moon rising on the eastern horizon, because Devaki was of the same category as Sri Krishna. Imagine the dark cell, all of a sudden she's glowing, but then a light enters or comes out of her heart and starts to float in the sky and light up a very dark, you got to really picture this stuff, very dark dungeon.
Yeah.
Very
Now,
interesting.
Raghunath, look at the Sanskrit to this verse. I want you to go there.
Which was 7 and 8?
Yeah.
Oh. Mamuchur munayo deva sumannamsi mudanvitaha
Is this ringing any bells?
mandam jaladara jagor jur anusagaram
Ringing any bells? Mumachur
Mumachur
munayo
munayo.
deva
These are the prayers of Devaki, right?
sumanamsi mudanvita. That's
Mamadam madana jaladara jagor jagur yeah, this is like Karnamrita sings this
Karnamrita sings this really
very
beautifully,
beautifully,
right?
the prayers of Devaki.
Yeah, so it's the prayers. Well, the prayers about Devaki.
Nishite tama ubute jayamane janardane devakyam
Devakyam
deva
deva
rupinyam Vishnu sarva guhasaya.
Yeah, so this is a very beautiful poetry. When you hear her sing it, you feel it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That-
Okay.
what's
Everyone
that
should
record
listen to that.
called?
Maybe we can put that on the board.
Is it called
It's a-
Davy?
It's called Devaki. I
No,
think it's
no.
called,
The record itself is
oh,
called
it's called Dasi.
Dasi.
So Karnamrita Dasi. I'll put it on the board right now.
Okay, put it on the board. Right.
You keep talking.
Okay, you keep talking. So here we have it. Now, some interesting things in this verse. Perhaps most interesting is this: Devakyam Deva Rupinyam Vishnu Sarva Guhasayaha. That the way Prabhupada translates that is that he said that Krishna or Vishnu, who is situated within everyone's heart, appeared in the heart of Devaki in the dense darkness of night, like the full moon rising on the eastern horizon, because Devaki was of the same category as Sri Krishna. In other
What did that
words,
mean? What do you think that meant?
well, that's what we should discuss, right? Of the same category of Krishna. Krishna appeared in her, not just in anybody, right? Appeared from her heart, not just anybody's heart. And this same kind of theme was in the previous chapter where we heard about first the 6 sons of Devaki were born and they were all killed, right? And those 6 sons represented the lower nature, our own lower nature, all these different, anger and greed, and, moha, bewilderment, all these different lower natures. They need to be killed within us for Krishna to appear. Then Balaram, who represents Guru, appeared, right? And then the Yoga Maya appeared, Krishna's feminine energy that makes all arrangements for Krishna's pastimes. And then now Krishna appears, but he doesn't appear in anyone. He appears there in Devaki because she's of the same category of him. Now, why don't we go ahead and read this commentary? Why don't we get started? We'll just go through this step by step.
This verse indicates that Krishna and his
As stated in Brahma Samhita.
as stated in Brahma Samhita, this verse indicates that Krishna and his entourage are of the same spiritual potency. So there's a verse in there's a Sanskrit shloka I'm not reading.
No, you could read this easy, right? It's Brahma Samhita stuff.
I know I can read it. I just didn't want to.
But I want you to.
Okay, well, that's different.
Okay.
Ananda
please do.
Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhabi Tabis Tabirya Eva Nija Rupataya Kalabi Kaloka Eva Nivasatya Kilat Mabuto Govindam Adipurashang Tamahang Bajami.
Thank you.
This verse indicates that Krishna and his entourage are of the same spiritual potency. Krishna's father, his mother.
So that's, yeah. And then he quotes Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. Right. So, wait, give me those nods.
keep going.
So
Take over.
Ananda, bliss in Chinmaya rasa, it means that Ananda Chinmaya rasa pratabhavita. This verse, why don't we open it up? It says, I worship Govinda. Sometimes the translations, they put the beginning at the end and the end at the beginning, which they did in this translation. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm, Goloka, right? He appears in the realm that's of his own nature, right? The spiritual realm, Goloka, with Radha resembling his own spiritual figure. You know, Radha is his energy too, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency, possessed of the 64 artistic activities. So Radharani is the embodiment of Krishna's Shakti, of his Hladini Shakti, of his pleasure-giving potency, the ecstatic potency. And she naturally has these 64 artistic abilities, right? Because her only desire is to please Krishna, and that desire is fulfilled with a body that's suitable and the talents that are suitable. And she's in the company of her confidants, all her girlfriends that help her in her service, who are embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form. That's the Shakti one step further expanded. And then it says this, and this is the Ananda Chinmaya rasa, permeated, and I always love this phrasing of this too, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa, right? Like this is the real life, right? Where like your existence is not permeated and devitalized, you know, by all of like the stuff that drags us down in the world, but their whole existence, their body, their consciousness is permeated and vitalized. In other words, it's like spiritual vitamins. You know, it's like it's alive and nourished with these thoughts and feelings about Krishna. Right? George Harrison was saying, we're all looking for Krishna, though we don't necessarily know it. You know, we're all looking to feel alive and feel love and feel bliss and understand everything with a clear head and be free. You know, and Devaki, he appears in her because she's like this. She's permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa. She's and therefore she's a suitable place for him to appear. Right? She's of the same category. Bhagavad Gita speaks about this too. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna he'll say like the term that he uses several times in the Bhagavad Gita is mad bhavam, right? My spiritual nature, one can attain that. Like, I'll pull up a couple of verses, Raghunath. You ready?
Yeah.
Are you interested?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Sort of. Keep going. Just keep going.
All right.
You just keep going.
This is important stuff, Raghunath.
I know.
Important stuff. Okay. So this is text 1419 of the Bhagavad Gita. When one properly sees that in all activities, no other performer is at work than these modes of nature, right? When I thought I was the doer. Now I realize, no, I'm in a virtual reality that's being programmed, right? Then he knows the Supreme Lord, right? You know there's a programmer behind it who is transcendental to all these modes. When you kind of get I'm in a virtual reality, it's being controlled by a higher intelligence, and he says, then that person, he attains my spiritual nature, mad bhavam sa abhigachati. Right? Or in the 8th chapter, Krishna says the same phrase, sa mad bhavam yati. And whoever at the end of their life, smaran, it uses the word smaran, right, which means remember. But we also use that word a lot, you know, to speak of meditation, right? Whoever at the end of their life quits their body remembering me alone, right? Whoever, when they die, their thoughts, you know, are absorbed in meditation on me. They had once attained my nature, madbhavam. Of this there is no doubt. So we can attain that. When it says here in this verse that Devaki was of the same category of Sri Krishna, she was of the same category because because her thoughts and you could say her heart was always absorbed in this energizing, vitalizing energy, was permeating her body and her mind. She was of the spiritual energy wherein Krishna always exists. And so he appears in her. Right? So this chapter opens up with this beautiful poetry, describing the astrological situation and the feeling of ease and freedom and beauty and beautiful fragrance and so on that's appearing at the moment that Krishna appears. And then we hear Krishna appears right in the body, right from the heart of Devaki, because she's of that spiritual nature. It's something for us to, in one sense, it's a beautiful description, but it's something for us to aspire for. I want to be permeated and vitalized by Krishna's ever spiritual blissful rasa. I don't want my consciousness to be absorbed in all of the petty. You and I were talking before this, before we started here, that we see people that get stuck in patterns of thought where they're still hung up about stuff that happened 40 years ago, and
40
going
years.
on and on about it.
40 years ago.
Petty, silly stuff. Hey, we were all kids at the time, It's like, get over it, And the fact that you're still absorbed in it says more about you than it says more about anybody that you're complaining about.
Yeah.
And no, I don't want that to be where my conscience, and I don't want it to be absorbed in all of the silly, ridiculous stuff that's marketed at me. I want my mind, my body, my thoughts to be absorbed in, to be permeated by this real stuff, this real deep spiritual content. Let's improve the quality of our lives and allow Krishna to appear in us. That source of all bliss, that source of all happiness, that source of all knowledge can arise in us. Here it's like saying, like the moon appears in the dark night, right? The full moon rising on the eastern horizon. Let that moon arise in us, as it arose in Devaki. Let us bring our mind and thoughts. Let our smarana, let our thoughts go to Krishna. Let us remain absorbed in him. And then as the Bhagavad Gita was saying in the 8th chapter, then surely you attain to his nature, mad bhavam. You become permeated and vitalized by me, by my spiritual energy. All right. We could keep reading this. This is a nice purport.
All right. Let's read
Krishna's
it.
father, his mother, his friends, the cowherd boys, and the cows.
Krishna's father, his mother, his friends, the cowherd boys, and the cows are all expansions of Krishna, as will be explained in the Brahma Vimohana Leela. That's
Chapter 13 coming up.
When Brahma took away Krishna's associates to test the supremacy of Lord Krishna, the Lord expanded himself again in the forms of many cowherd boys and calves, all of whom, as Brahma saw, were Vishnu Murtis, right? Forms of Vishnu. Mm-hmm. Devaki is also an expansion of Krishna, and therefore this verse says, Devakyam Devarupinyam Vishnu Sarvaguhasaya. At the time for the Lord's appearance, the great sages and the demigods, being pleased, began to shower flowers. At the seashore, there was a sound of mild waves, and above the sea, there were clouds in the sky which began to thunder very pleasingly. When things were adjusted like this, Lord Vishnu, who is residing within the heart of every living entity, appeared in the darkness of night as the Supreme Personality of Godhead before Devaki, who appeared as one of the demigoddesses. The appearance of Lord Vishnu at that time could be compared to the rising of the full moon in the sky on the eastern horizon. The objection may be raised that since Lord Krishna appeared on the 8th day of the waning moon, there could be no rising of the full moon.
Yeah, someone might object that way.
Right, because the full moon comes on the 15th day. In answer to this, it may be said that Lord Krishna appeared in the dynasty which is in the hierarchy of the moon. Therefore, although the moon was incomplete on that night, because of the Lord's appearance in the dynasty wherein the moon himself, the original person, the moon is himself the original person, the moon was in an overjoyous condition. So by the grace of Krishna, he could appear as a full moon. To welcome the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the waning moon became a full moon in jubilation.
Oh.
It's a celestial miracle.
Yeah.
Instead of Deva Rupinyam, some texts of Srimad Bhagavatam clearly say Vishnu Rupinyam.
Okay.
In other cases, the meaning is that Devaki has the same spiritual form as the Lord. The Lord is Satchit Ananda Vigraha, and Devaki is also Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Therefore, no one can find any fault in the way the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Satchit Ananda Vigraha, appeared from the womb of Devaki.
Okay, so someone may say, hold it, you're saying that Krishna is God, but look, he's appearing in a woman like an ordinary person, right? A body of flesh and blood, and that's not, God
Yeah.
is beyond all that. Right? No one can find fault. Her body is entirely spiritual.
Those who are not in full knowledge that the appearance and disappearance of the Lord are transcendental are sometimes surprised that the Supreme Personality of Godhead can take birth like an ordinary child. Actually, however, the Lord's birth is never ordinary, right? It's not like an ordinary child.
Okay.
Right?
In one sense it is, but in another sense it's not.
Huh?
In one sense it is like, he's born from a woman, but
Right.
no, but not ordinary.
Yeah, born from her heart, glowing, wearing armor.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Holding a club in his hands. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is already situated in the core of everyone's heart as the Antaryami, the Supersoul. Thus, because he was present in full potency in Devaki's heart, he was also able to appear outside her body.
Mm-hmm.
One of the 12 great personalities is Bhishma Dev. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.9.42, Bhishma, a great authority to be followed by devotees, says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in the core of everyone's heart, just as the sun may be on everyone's head. Yet, although the sun may be on everyone's heads of millions and millions of people, this does not mean that the sun is variously situated. Similarly, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead has inconceivable potencies, he can be within everyone's heart and yet not be situated variously. What does that mean, variously?
He can be situated, in other words, I think it means that he's still one. He's not divided. Variously, I think that's what that's indicated. He's spread out all over, but he's still one.
Ekatvam anupasyata. The Lord is one, but he can appear in everyone's heart.
See?
Huh?
There you go. You asked the
Everyone's heart by his
question, and here's the
inconceivable
answer.
potency. Thus, although the Lord was within the heart of Devaki, he appeared as her child, according to the Vishnu Purana. Therefore, as quoted in the Vaishnav Toshani, the Lord appeared like the sun. The Brahma Samhita confirms that the Lord is situated even within the atom. He is situated in Mathura and Vaikuntha and in the core of the heart. Therefore, one should clearly understand that he did not live like an ordinary child in the heart or the womb of Devaki, nor did he appear like an ordinary human child, although he seemed to do so in order to bewilder the demons like Kamsa. The demons wrongly think that Krishna took birth like an ordinary child and passed away from this world like an ordinary man. Such demonic conceptions are rejected by persons in knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ajo pi san avyatma bhutanam ishvaro pi san. As stated in the Gita, the Lord is Aja, unborn, and he is the supreme controller of everything. Nonetheless, he appeared as the child of Devaki. This verse describes the inconceivable potency of the Lord who appeared like the full moon.
Yeah, I think that's another word mentioned. He appeared like the moon. Part of the meaning of that is that the moon appears to be born every night, but no, it's always there. It's not like it was born in the moment that it appears. It's always existing. We may not be seeing it, and then it appears, but it's in that sense, Krishna is also not born like an ordinary child.
Yeah, and that's the last line. One should never regard him as having taken birth like an ordinary child.
There you go.
It's not an ordinary.
He's not ordinary.
Sometimes kids come out of the womb like with a full head of hair. You know what I'm talking about? It's like, what?
I think this is a little bit more special than that.
Yeah, well, it is. He's got bracelets. He's got beautiful necklaces. He's got hair. He's got beautiful hair. He floats above the sky. Then he transforms himself to a little bluish, blackish baby.
Oh, man.
Who can understand these things? Oh, look. All right, Miss Mara, you want to wrap this up?
Yeah, I do.
Have you ever felt permeated and vitalized by Krishna's spiritual rasa, Mara? A little bit?
By Krishna's what?
By his spiritual rasa, by his spiritual feelings and consciousness. And
I'm
Krishna.
feeling like that right now. You're
Okay.
not? You're not feeling like that?
We weren't talking about me.
Okay.
Well,
Well, so are you?
Let her speak for herself.
Oh, you're asking Mara. Okay, I thought you were talking to me.
No, but sometimes actually I see photos of devotees
Yeah.
Mhm.
who are in it. You know, it's just like you can see it in that moment. They're feeling deep spiritual awareness, you know. I have a photograph of my wife, actually. Her and her friend, you know where they went to Bahulastami? You know,
Yeah.
which is the night that they celebrate the appearance of Radha Kund.
Yeah.
They bathed in Radha. You've been there for that. I've never been there for that. But, you know, there's thousands of
Midnight
people.
bathing.
Midnight bath. And there's a picture of her and her friend Amala Ratna, whose husband I saw at the Rath Yatra. It was nice to see him. And they had just come out of the water, and they had like a Bisleri bottle, you know, like full of
Yeah.
Kund water. And the two of them were just like on fire. You know, you could just it's almost obvious in the photograph. You know, it's not it's you can just see they're lit up. You know.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah. It's and I think you've had outer body experiences out in Vrindavan.
I still think that her passing out there in Vrindavan, her last
At
time,
Govardhan?
yeah,
I think it was a bhava.
I think it was too.
Mhm. Well, you know, actually, I went to the neurology specialist, and they said that they were not convinced it was a seizure.
You see?
So
You see?
maybe you're right.
I think it's sort of like Govardhan. We did have an ecstatic day at Govardhan. Then just had
did.
incredible prasad with really nice devotees. And then she's just like, okay, now I'm going to exhibit my transcendental activities.
All right, should we get on to takeaways?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't work to enjoy Krishna's opulences without inviting Krishna to the party.
Krishna. Make Krishna the center of the party. It's not your party.
Hearing about Krishna nourishes and unites us.
Nice. Nice.
We're all looking for God, whether we know it or not.
Good one.
Love it.
Thank you, George Harrison.
Thank you, George Harrison. How about that?
Yeah.
Thank you, George Harrison. We should make a Wisdom of the Sages shirt. It says, thank you, George Harrison.
Okay.
Aspire to be permeated and vitalized by Krishna's spiritual ras.
Met Led Zeppelin, but not George Harrison. That could be a shirt.
I don't think so. I don't think that one will do. I mean, it could be. Yes,
It could be a
It
shirt.
could be a shirt.
Let go of the petty silliness of the past.
Let it go.
Where did Henry go? I wanted to find out what Led Zeppelin were like. Are they even still alive?
Some of them.
They are. You never hear about Led Zeppelin, do you?
No, yeah, Robert Plant still does stuff.
Oh.
He
The
was
chief is saying 3 of them are still alive.
Yeah. John Bonham died a long time ago.
okay.
I think his son might have played with them when they were.
They're sort of underground. Like they didn't do a spin-off band, a solo. Did they do a solo record?
They did a reunion, and I think John Bonham's son played drums.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, that was some time
Alright.
back though. They're very old.
They're old. Yeah, they must be old.
I think Robert Plant sings jazz sometimes, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't he sing with?
Laura Wright says there's a great new Led Zeppelin record. Are you kidding? Oh, is that a movie?
Document. All right.
Laura
I
Wright,
know
we're
n-
trying to stay absorbed in Krishna's spiritual
Netflix
potency.
documentary is great. Nancy,
We're
Soul
losing our
Yoga
crowd
says-
here, Raghunath.
Sorry.
Our next takeaway: let body, mind, and thoughts be absorbed in spirit.
Thank
not the
you.
Zoom chat board.
Zoom chat board are my people. These are my people, and I'm going to absorb my mind in them.
Krishna's birth is extraordinary.
That's right.
And thank you, George Harrison.
Thank you, George Harrison.
Thank you, George Harrison.
It's a little bit of a slow start to this song.
Oh,
Yeah.
You got to
Here we
speed
go,
this
Mary.
bad
Hit it.
boy up.
It's a slow song.
It's
Oh,
a
starts
slow
so
song.
slow?
It's not like a party.
Okay, why don't you jump
Be the
forward?
Carmen
then?
Rito one.
Jump forward a little bit.
It doesn't. Oh yeah, you can go to the halfway point. This is where.
There we
This is prayers by women. Dasi is by the singer Karnamrita, our friend.
She's singing what we just read today.
Munio tango. Like a low mangoes. Sing about
There it is.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Beautiful day. And, yeah. Get them ready. You should come up. Radha Swami's coming up.
I'm definitely coming up when Raghunath Swami
You are
comes
coming up.
Bubba. Yeah.
Well, you didn't let me know. There may not be a bed left for you.
I'm coming up.
Okay, well, we have a wonderful couch for you.
How would you think I would not come up? Like
I don't
our people
know,
are getting
'cause-
initiated. What's wrong with you, Raghunath? How could you not?
Why are you speaking to me like that?
Huh?
Why do you treat me like I'm your... Why you treat me like you're an army sergeant and I'm a buck private?